Hi, it's Matt, and welcome back to the Easy Do-It-Yourself Landscaping channel, where we give you step-by-step instructions on how to install and maintain beautiful landscaping projects in your own yard. If you like that kind of content, be sure and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. In this video, we're going to cover how and when to prune roses for beautiful results. As you can see, these roses are ready to be pruned. It's the right time of year, which is the end of the winter time, and we're going to get started. I'm going to show you exactly how to prune these roses. Okay, pruning the roses is very important and very easy for the do-it-yourselfer to do. The importance of it is, first off, you're removing any kind of dead or diseased stems. As roses grow, they develop new stems, and some of the older stems end up being just black dead stems. And over time, those will get diseased and really make the plant unhealthy. So you want to get rid of those. Second off is, as you trim or prune your roses and clear out some of the space, it's able to get light and oxygen into some of the areas that would be covered up. And that encourages blooms throughout the season. Another thing is this, aesthetically, it makes the bush a lot prettier. This particular bush has a real long stem runner sticking way up over here. It's low down over on this side. Now this whole line was planted last year, and I generally let my plants grow one full growing season before I do any pruning on them. So I've just let these go until now's the time to do it, because these have been in the ground for about a year and a half. I want them to be able to establish a nice, solid, healthy root system before I prune them, because it does put them in a little bit of a shock initially. So now's the perfect time to do it. We're in February. We're before the growing season. You want to do it before the springtime. So now's the perfect time to do it. So let me don the gloves, and then I'll show you how to do this. Now, one thing that's real important, or a couple things really, is you want to cut all of your cuts at a 45-degree angle. Reason for that is because you don't want water to stand on the top of those cut areas. You want it to be able to run off when you get rain. It can cause disease on the plant if you have a straight cut and water sitting on that flat straight cut like a plateau. You want to cut it at a 45-degree angle so the water will hit it and run off. And the other thing you want to do is make sure you have really sharp pruning shears. The last thing you want to do is cut any kind of plant, whether it's a rose or anything, with shears that are not real sharp, because it causes damage to it. So let's get started on just pruning a little bit. First thing I want to do is look at it and see if I have any areas of dead growth. These are, like I said, these have only been in the ground for a year and a half, so they're not going to have much dead growth on them, because you know, they haven't had time to do that. Everything's pretty healthy, plus the way that I plant them and the mixture and the fertilizer I use really keeps my plants really healthy. So I don't see any real dead growth on this one, except for down here at the very bottom, and I'll get that here in a second. Let me just snip off a couple of those little dead, just a couple of tiny little dead areas. There's really no other places on here where it's really got dead or diseased growth. All these roses up through this whole rose garden are extremely healthy, just because of the way that I plant them. I've got videos about how I plant the plants and to make sure that everything stays real healthy for a long time. So really what I want to do is really shape this guy up. So I'm just going to go away for a second, grab my tote. I just use a plastic tote from Walmart to throw the cuttings in. That way I don't have to pick them up out of the yard afterwards. Just throw them in one of these plastic totes like this, and I'm all about no mess. So let me just kind of get started. So I want to get rid of this one big huge runner here, because it's just way out of control, and so I want to cut it back to a nice healthy place on the stem, making sure I'm staying at my 45-degree angle. Just do a quick snip. And there's the first cutting there. And then I'm going to shape all of these. This side over here gets a little more sun, so you got a little more runners over this way. So I'm just going to go through and cut all of these at a nice 45-degree angle. Once you get going on this, it really doesn't take too long to do. So I'm just going to talk while I do this, making sure I stay at a nice angle. That's very important because you don't want water to stand on roses. Another thing about roses is when you're watering roses, they really don't like having water standing on their leaves. So it's best not to water a rose with a garden hose. Your best bet for watering roses that I found is to have like a gallon or a half-gallon pitcher. I fill that with water, and then I water just right around the root area, and try not to get much on the leaves because they really don't like water standing on their leaves. It can cause a number of different diseases like black spot and things like that. I'm sure you've probably seen roses with black spot where the leaves all have black dots all over them and they just look really terrible. It's very unhealthy for the plant. It can actually kill the plant. So that's one thing you got to watch out for when you water them, is try not to water them with a sprinkler system or with a hose. Water them with a pitcher and just pour it just right around the base of the plant. They also don't like really sitting in the water, so you got to really make sure that you water them at the right time, but not water them too often or too much. Normally what I do is during the summer, during the hot months, I water my roses probably about every 5 days, something like that, as long as they get a good amount of water around the base every 5 days. That's important. The other thing is the roots can get rotten real easy on a rose, more so than some of the other plants. So it's important at the end of the winter season, when you're sprucing everything up for spring with new, either new pine straw or new mulch or new rocks or whatever, go through and clear out all those old leaves that have gathered around the base of the plant, because that will also moisture, too much of that moisture being held down at the base of the plant will cause it to have some root rot, and you don't want root rot because that'll kill your plant. So just going to trim a couple more of these off, and we're almost done with this guy. Because at the end of the season, or by the end of the season, this thing is just going to be way out of, just out of control. But because my plants are usually very, very healthy, just the way that I plant them, the way that I take care of them throughout the year. But it really doesn't take that much work. So for the do-it-yourselfer, it's actually pretty easy to maintain roses, or really any other plant, just as long as you know what to do and the best times to do it and things like that. Just a little pointers here and there always help. Making sure I get everything. I'm going to reach over here and grab this guy here. I'm going to cut him way back here because he's really going out of control. Like I said, this is a 1.5 years worth of growth on these because I didn't want to do anything to them until after the end of the first full growing season, which was last summer. So now is the perfect time, since we're in February. Different parts of the country, you do it within a month or so of each other. So as long as you're able to prune them back and shape them up anytime between February and April. If you're in the south, you want to do it closer to the February time frame. If you're up in the cooler climates where it doesn't get summer as early, then you want to be able to get that done probably sometime around the April. You don't want to do it when they're going to be getting a lot of frost on the plants, but you also don't want to do it into the growing season, because that will cause you to have less blooms sometimes if you get too far in the growing season. That's true with any flowering plant. You want to try to do flowering plants when you're not cutting off the blooms, like azaleas and things like that. You don't want to do those right at the beginning of the growing season, because you're basically cutting off a lot of their ability to grow new buds or new blooms if you do that. I'm almost done with this guy, so it didn't take too long. So here we go. We're finishing up the last couple of little stems, making sure that I cut it at a nice 45-degree angle so any moisture will run off of it. Now you could cut these down even further. I've seen people cut them all the way down within about 6 or 8 inches of the ground. I usually don't like to do that. I like to leave kind of a thicker bush, even though I cut off a lot of the crazy runners that are going everywhere. I still want to leave most of the bush intact so that it has a nice shape to it, but doesn't get too small. Because I don't want to have to work too hard to do a lot of growth. I want it to spend all of its energy making blooms for me. So I think that's going to be just about good enough. Cut off some of these old buds. And let's see here. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. So that is a nice pruned up rose bush. It's going to be ready for the summer. It's really going to bush out. It's going to get a lot of oxygen down in this area right here where it needs it. A lot of light down in there. And come about June or July, this is going to be one big, beautiful, thick rose bush. And I think it's going to be very happy with this nice little haircut that I just gave it. So that's really all it takes to prune a rose bush. It just took a few minutes. I've got 14 more to go, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on those. I'm not going to have you sit there and watch me do all of them, because this was just, I'm going to do the same thing I did with this one, just all the way up the line and get all these guys shaped up. And yeah, so that's pretty much how you prune a rose bush. And the best time to do it, like I said, is late winter, very early spring. You don't want to do it too far into the growing season. Roses already start, as soon as you start getting a little bit of warmer air and stop having frost so much, you actually get new growth on these rose bushes real early in the season. They're one of the earliest plants to start growing out. So you want to try to get them before they get too much of the new growth on. You don't want to cut too much of that off. But this is a perfect time to do it here in the latter part of February. And like I said, if you're in the northern hemisphere or northern part of the country, do it maybe March, into March, something like that. And yeah, so that's basically all it takes to prune a rose bush and make it really healthy and beautiful. If you like this video, be sure and click the like button. Be sure and subscribe to catch all the other videos that we have if you like this kind of content. And send me a comment. I'd love to hear how your rose bushes are doing. Anything else in your landscaping. We have all kinds of videos on all kinds of landscaping subjects. So we're all do-it-yourself landscapers if we do it ourselves. And I'm here to help with any of that. So send me a comment, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.